Andy Rooney.
I've never noticed how people at the supermarket nowadays are rude. I have. I don't like it. I'm Andy Rooney. I'm not actually Andy Rooney. I'm Eric. That's Rachel.
Hi.
And together we are the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful world of talking with famous people. If you thought, hey, I already know all about wonderfulness, well, you were wrong. The question I have as the initiation spot for this live stream is, why in the world do British people put tobacco, mix it with weed, and roll it into a so-called spleef? Why in the world would anybody do that? Why would you put tobacco in with your weed? What are you trying to accomplish? Smoking less tobacco or smoking less weed? Regardless, there are a lot of people who smoke weed but don't smoke cigarettes, like Rachel. If you pass them a spleef that's half tobacco, she's going to be like, I don't like that. So the real question then is, why, British people? Why do you do that? Carlos Paeva is correct. Everybody needs to look out. Eric just showed up. He could be going completely bananas within 5 minutes. You never know. I could be hurling things across the room. Things like my hopes and dreams and inspirations. Not physical objects. That involves too much physicality. I had a morning full of physicality. You know what I did this morning, Rachel?
What'd you do?
I walked down to our little stream to try to prospect for gold.
Oh my gosh, did you? You've been talking about that.
Yeah. I even brought a bag of pay dirt up here to make it using my makeshift sluice. So here's the thing. If you go down to that little stream and look in there, all on the bottom is covered with glittery speckles of gold. But it's not gold. It's mica, fool's gold. As far as I can tell. Pretty sure it's fool's gold.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, you can see when it comes out, and there's flakes of it. Looks like almost fish scales, little fish scales. Gold doesn't break like that. So that's pretty sure it's fool's gold. And it also, there's too much of it for it to be real gold. It's not poop, Carlos Paeva. We're not talking about your mom's face.
Oh.
And then I came back up here after my failed gold mining. I decided to polish this rock with the Dremel tool, which also failed. And then as I had fun with the Dremel tool, I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make another wooden pipe. So I walked up across the street to the hill, walked up the hill a little bit and found a good piece of wood that was curved like a trumpet kind of, or like a horn, you know, like a woo kind of horn. And I fucked it up. I needed to go this way and then this way and home meet here, right? But instead I poked out the bottom from this way with the spade bit. So I reimagined it as an upside down one, and it did work. Like eventually, like there's a carb on one end, the bowl in the middle, and then the smoking part over here. It wasn't how I planned it at all, but it did work. But it wasn't super airtight. There was a couple of cracks in the wood, and so I just threw it down the hill. Said, you know what? I don't want this anymore. This is dumb. I fucked that up. So Anyway, that was a fun morning. A lot of fun activities.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I made some videos while I was doing all that stuff too. And once they're all done uploading to Google Photos, my intent, although who knows if I'll follow through with it, is to make a little Eric's morning video, which just clips short little segments together for maybe 2 or 3 minute long video about Eric going gold mining and trying to make a pipe.
Oh, I love that. I'd like to see that.
Alright, well, then I will put it together. So, why do British people put tobacco in their weed when they roll joints? There's no good explanation for it, except it's the same reason why British people drink tea instead of coffee. Because they don't know the right way to do things. The only explanation.
Don't they drive on the other side of the road?
They drive on the wrong side of the road, too. They also sleep on the wrong side of the bed. So, like, you know how in America, the man always sleeps on the right side of the bed? It's backwards in England. The man always sleeps on the left side of the bed.
Oh.
Yeah. Tea is more environmentally friendly and less toxic. Well, coffee is very much not toxic, Carlos Paeva. They've been doing studies for years trying to prove that coffee is bad for you, and they can't come up with anything. But I would agree it's probably more environmentally friendly because to grow coffee bushes, well, you're planting something that has to make berries that you harvest, whereas tea you're just harvesting the leaves, so it should be less stress on soil. But on the other hand, coffee is America and tea is land.
Oh.
So how about that, though? How about that? That's why I only drink sustainably sourced coffee from Venezuela and the lower foothill regions of the Cutlass Mountains. That's where I get my coffee from. Actually, Rachel and I have a lifetime supply of coffee that is part of our inheritance from my father.
Yeah, we do.
We have so much coffee, so many bags, cans, whatever of coffee, that it fills up like 4 big plastic bags from the grocery store. You didn't catch the word for what it really is? What it really is, I mean, the stuff that wasn't gold, it's mica or fool's gold. I'm pretty sure. If it actually is gold, we have a ton of gold dust down in the stream.
Wow, gold dust.
But it's not gold dust, that's right. Hello. I ordered something this morning.
Oh yeah?
A lavalier mic for this phone that will actually work. It's corded. It's not cordless, but it should be fun. Some extra strong chiffer, just like in Russian gulags, can act as a great stimulator. It's not like kitty size espresso. What's chiffer? Never even heard of it. Is that kefir, but from coffee? Coffee kefir? Coffee kefir is full of probiotics. You know who else is full of probiotics? Me. I've got the most badass assortment of microbes in my body, and they are so in favor of my bio.
Wow. That's pretty good.
I've got a groundswell of grassroots support from microbes throughout my body, which is why I won this year's prize for the most probiotic person.
Ooh, the most probiotic person?
Yeah. And that Activia lady came and gave me the prize herself. Jamie Lee Curtis? Well, INTP is more like an extroverted version of an INTP, obviously, but what you're trying to get at, I suspect, is INFJs and ENTPs share the same absolute values where it matters. 1, 5, and don't share the same absolute values where it matters. 2, 3, 6, 7. I mean 7. Yeah, 6, 7. So, and neither ENTP nor INFJ has a conscious, subjective, absolute value. INTPs have SI as an absolute value. So, INFJs and ENTPs are more alike on the things that matter, really, your values and stuff, than are ENTPs and INTPs. But it's basically a bad idea to ask that question you're asking, because they're not an extroverted version of an introvert, right? If somebody's an extroverted, they have an extroverted function as their first function. If somebody's introverted, they have an introverted function as their first function. It doesn't make any sense to say an extroverted version of a man, because that would be the extrovert. Nevertheless, to try to get at what I think you're trying to get at, the commonalities among INFJs and ENTPs make it tempting to ask that question and answer it by saying, well, if somehow you could have an INFJ who was more extroverted without being an extrovert, they look more like an ENTP, probably. Exceptionally strong tea was brewed in Soviet prisons. Wow. I guess that's all they had to drink, huh? Why make it exceptionally strong? That doesn't seem like it's good. Tea always makes my stomach upset. Hot tea. I can only have like 1 cup of it at max.
What about it makes your stomach bother?
I don't know. The caffeine in tea seems to bother me more in hot tea than in coffee. But iced tea, it seems to bother me less. So I don't know. Maybe it's all just in my imagination. Well, my probiotics are all Americans. That's why, Carlos Paella. I don't have any of those fancy talking Brits living in my body. I said, take it up with Jamie Lee Curtis if you don't like it. Activia. So, anyway, we are making some tea right now ourselves, Eureka. We're making some tea. I think it's fair to say what we're making, we just go ahead and call it chiffer. We're making some chiffer.
What's chipper?
It's a really strong tea drink that people in Russia and Soviet gulags drank.
Oh.
So, fingers crossed for our tea to take us to the delightful land of Siberia on a magical journey through life in a Soviet gulag. We're going to get to experience chiffer, frostbite, beatings by guards. It'll be wonderful.
That sounds wonderful.
Somebody once told me, as I've spoken of before, that before consuming mushrooms, you should have an intent. You should intend for your trip to do or be something. Like probably this guy, when he takes mushrooms, who told me this, he's probably like, I'm gonna learn to grow about my reflection about myself. Or something like, I'm going to become one with everything. Or something like, I'm going to have the doors of perception blown wide open so I can really see for the first time forever. Or in other words, assorted nonsenses. But it's not completely nonsense that your pregame for consuming mushrooms impacts the game time actuality of it. Ask the mushroom gods for enlightening lull. Okay. Mushroom gods, for this impending mushroom trip, upon which Rachel and I shall soon embark, I ask that you register in my intention box the following wish. I would like an enlightening lull. Okay? If possible. Of course, it's just a request. I don't mean to be pushy. I understand that you mushroom gods can be wrathful sometimes. I don't want you to exercise your wrath on me. I respect you a lot. I respect your power, and I don't mean to be anything but reverent. I recognize that you are loyal minions of the Slab Masters who report directly to the Holy Ghost. So it means you're Christianity approved. It feels like the mushroom god is saying, we come from long before Christianity. Well, that may be the case, mushroom gods, but nevertheless, you're subject to celestial being oversight by God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost is king of slabs, but he's got various minions that are known as the Slab Masters. And to the extent that you can nudge any slabberies, because slabberies are best suited for knowing things about things and or for distinguishing between major and minor arcs in your life story. But to the extent that you can be authorial and impact how the slabs roll is very limited, but basically have to express, communicate, write your way into convincing one of the slab masters to greenlight your project. So, whatever it is that you're attempting to manifest creatively as a life reality via art making or information making, potentially, not necessarily art per se, but it's got to be like super perfect. Only then can you perhaps get the attention of a slab master. And even then, small chance he's going to think, yeah, okay, that's badass enough. We're not even sure what kind of creatures slab masters are. Is there a way to determine the difference between the fourth slot and seventh slot? Particularly the difference between TE inferior and polar? Sure. I mean, the TE polar tests that I give are reasonably reliable because they don't ask you to do something very hard. Fourth slot TE will generally kill it on those tests. As long as it's conscious, they'll kill it. Whereas polar will lose track of the question. You ask them, what's the optimal number of steps to break the task down into? They'll just start off saying what the steps are. And you get to the end, you go, well, how many steps was that? And they go, oh, I don't remember exactly. You know, it's, ISFJs will remember better, but the point is, neither of them gets the idea of ordinating shit. And thinking of it in terms of a concrete number of steps. So, it's easier to distinguish between INFP and INFJ than it is between INFP and ISFJ, because INFJ has a different conscious knowledge function than INFP. So you'll also be able to tell from the lack of being able to remember. Because INFJ SI is not great. If you're talking about, like, what's the best number of steps to break snubbling at the snow from the driveway into? You know, maybe an INFJ and ISFJ will both go, well, gosh, I mean, first you got to make sure you have a shovel, I guess. And, you know, I guess then if you don't have a shovel, you get a shovel. And then you go and you take it to the driveway and you shovel the snow. And I guess that's it. That's got either INFJ or ISFJ might sound like that when describing the thing. One way to distinguish between them, though, is if you ask INFJ to repeat back all the steps they just said, especially if it's more than that, they're going to be like, I can't remember them all. They're like, or ISFJ will be able to remember them all. So you're better suited doing SI tests on the two parties to distinguish between INFP and INFJ than you are to try to distinguish on TE, really. If you ask a bunch of SI questions, it'll be pretty obvious after 5 or 6 of them whether the person is SI conscious or 8th slot. 8th slot's very unconscious. Where you can't use SI-NI distinctions very well is when you're dealing with ENTPs, ESTPs, ENFPs, and ESFPs. because everybody's got fluency in their 4-5. They're always the same kind of function. For me, it's two different knowledge functions. I've got fluency in NI and SI. I use both when explaining things, for example. And I'm able to distinguish between them easily enough. Other people have that same experience with their 4th and 5th in ways that I can't imagine because I don't have that equal fluency in anything but the two knowledge functions. And so Rachel doesn't have that equal fluency in anything but the two action functions. And when it comes to the action functions, just as when it comes to the knowledge functions with me, even though knowledge is a receiving function, I'm an action type. So my knowledge functions are used by my action making. So I treat NI as though it were an externalizing function, even though it's not, because I'm always only using it in that context, to the extent that I'm using it consciously at all. In contrast, Rachel is a receiving type, so her relationship with both action functions is that of a receiver. She's very much a consumer of any, other people's any, and she uses her NI to receive all this media, etc., and to know whether it's good, pleases her, or bad, makes her cringe, or whatever, you know? So the important thing about this fluency matter is the consciousness part. I'm never going to be as good as an NI Dom about reading a set of disparate clues and ahhing what it all means, because that's using it in its receiving capacity. And I'm not necessarily conscious of that. I'm conscious of using it as a co-pilot to my NE in the creating process. So similarly, Rachel's not necessarily going to be effective with it NE in its natural environment as a creative function, but she's going to be very fluent in terms of understanding what comprises different degrees of divergence, or disparateness, originality, you know. She's going to be fluent in calculating scores on those kinds of adjectives for media she consumes. What's interesting to me is how types conscious of SI use it. I would say I'm pretty good at doing the thing, and SI can do like this one time, or today I did this, that, and the third. The thing is, about that, Mac Daddy, is SI people use it proactively towards the future a lot. So we might think of the textbook example of an SI person, somebody who comes home and says, oh, so today I went to the store and I saw, right? But the other thing to remember is that SI people do it proactively about the future. They remind themselves constantly things like, don't forget you've got that 2 o'clock appointment today, self. And then after that, you're going to go meow, and then we'll go through Jack in the Box, and then meow, meow, meow. That is SI too. It's SI looking ahead. Okay, this is done. Now, where did to eat you all up with my head. Now I know how to walk that out, heartfelt out. When she had to drink something she knew was going to taste rather gross. Now I know how Joan of Arc felt. She felt shitty, that's how she felt. Let's see. This is about, I approve of Pyrex making metric left-handed. It's about 300 milliliters again. Now, can I fit 150 milliliters into this cup? For shizzo, I can. Okay. Now I get some ices. Okay, darling.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. He's Cutlass and he's put back in the kitchen. I went outside to give some more Cutlass today because I noticed that one of the squirrels was bullying the other squirrel, like not really bullying him, but every time the one squirrel tried to get close to where the pile of cutlets were, the other squirrel would run over and chase him away.
Oh, wow.
So I went and I spread some more like out on the driveway area so that he couldn't police them all. Yeah, what more it says here is important. Yep, as an ISFJ, I'm constantly planning out my days in advance. Like I'm going to do this at this time, and then an hour later I'll go do this. I'm even planning out walking and driving routes in my head, and it's not like a task I got to actually sit down and do. It just happens all the time. And this is also why you have SE as an absolute value in the 5th slot, because if you're going to be doing that all the time, it's best if you actually do it. then it makes sense. Like I'm creating a list and checking it off, you know? It's terrible having the S's in the 4th and the 8th slot. Because I do that same thing. I think, but I just do it haphazardly occasionally, which is like the worst of both worlds. Okay, bottoms up. So, God, Jesus, Holy Ghost minions, the Slab Masters, and the Mushroom Gods, who you might consider Slab Masters of their own. I don't know. I offer you my humility and gratefulness in receipt of this Holy Communion. May it suit your whim. I would ask that you please afford me a pleasant experience. So well, yeah, and that's the thing, Morge, is for every type, they have the same prime directive. You don't like it when your expectations and your realities don't match. So, as an SI Dom, your expectations are set up as described there, as you described them. And other people, then, when they're flaky and or come up to you out of the blue and say, let's go do this right now, it's very disruptive. It causes you machine code level distress. I can be too hard on myself sometimes, or ISFJs can. Well, ISFJs, I mean, everybody can be too hard on themselves sometimes, it seems like. Except maybe TE does. I don't know. But function-wise, everybody has attentional deficits that are slotted such that you're necessarily going to be hard on yourself about that, you know? Sixth slot in particular. But I've noted that for somebody like an ESTJ, where their sixth is consistent with their first and second function in terms of being physical instead of metaphysical, or you might say experiential instead of communicative, right? So their 1, 2, and 6 are all experiential. Their 3 is communicative. When you have a situation like that, your 6th is much less countervalued and is more conscious than when you have a situation like me, where I've got 1, 2, 3 are communicative, and 6, the alternative form of 3, is experiential. So it's going to be ultra countervalued in a situation like mine, and ultra valued in a situation like, ultra under countervalued, minimally countervalued in a situation like an ESTJ. That's what I have to say about slot mechanics today. The 6-3 thing is kind of important. Which type is most oblivious to being hard on themselves? It would probably be ESTP, ENTP, FI polar. I told Rachel before, look, I know I talk shit about myself. Like, I say things like, oh God, Eric, could you be any stupider? You idiot. I say that kind of stuff fairly often. But I told Rachel, and I don't know if she agrees with this or not, but I said, it's safe for me to do it, but she should not talk shit about herself. And she was immediately very skeptical of this, because INFJs don't like double standards. But my point is, she's a receiving type. So she's used to catching passes, including ones that she throws. I'm a throwing type. I don't necessarily catch the passes I throw. You know, she is more likely to believe herself. I have probably unreasonably high self-esteem. I probably need to be taken down a notch, plenty in plenty of different ways, you know. So I do the job myself when I can. But no matter how many times I call myself a tard or an idiot or a moron or whatever, I am never going to actually think I'm dumb. Oh, it's very fleeting. I mean, unless I really fucked up in some way, in which case, you know, the thing is, it's both fleeting and forever. Every fuck up I've ever made is in my head as a painful memory. Some of them I don't remember for long stretches of time until some visual stimulus of some sort or auditory stimulus, it triggers a memory that reminds me of that cringy fail moment from the past. And then I'll go, whatever it was. Could be small shit that wouldn't seem important to other people, but it was just like I made a social mistake or something. Those ones really give me the shame shivers. It could be something bigger, like that time I was drunk driving in college and clipped somebody's car. um, so the point is, it's long term in the sense that it's forever, but it's short term in the sense that I move on from those moments quickly enough, and it may be a long time till I think about it again, right? Good question. Very good question. Bufo Peregrine says my ENTP friend kept calling herself a sociopath or psychopath when she was actually one of the most caring people I've ever known. So sad. Well, I mean, caring and denied access to half of the subjective epistemologies or epistemics, you know? So it's like, without cognitive functions, I also would have stunningly little awareness of my own feelings and how important they are. I also, when I was in college, around that age, I felt like I didn't use these terms, but I felt like I was a sociopath. Like, I'd imagine, what would I feel if these people died? I don't think I'd feel anything. I was wrong, but, you know. Ask Rachel if she has ever gone through or experiencing a fuck up loop as INFJ. Is it a thing that INFJs do?
I think about the things that I fucked up about, sure, but it's usually like at night when I'm not doing anything, and then the thought comes in my head like shame shivers or.
Is it usually for recent stuff or older stuff? Or it could be anything?
It could be anything.
Hmm.
It's usually like triggered by something. Like something someone says or like something on TV.
And then how do you cope with them? How do you cope with the shame shivers? You just wait, think of something else?
Just like, yeah, and I try to think of something else. Or I do research on it. Like, why do I feel this way? Or is it normal to feel this way?
Huh. That's interesting. Because when I remember bad things from the past, I just think it's very clear. It doesn't cross my mind to wonder why I feel bad from that. It's like I just think, God, Eric, how could you have been so dumb, lame, mean, whatever I'm feeling awful about, you know? Like doing the same mistake over and over again, even though you know it's wrong. That's not what I am talking about, no. But because it's like my shame shiver moments tend to be one-offs. Mm-hmm. They might have a commonality of alcohol, some of them, but one of the problems I have as an SI user, fourth slot where it's weak, you know, is that I don't learn something until I experience it, really. So my 51 years of life is a parade of catastrophes that teach me basic things like don't marry somebody you don't like. But, you know, feelings, schmeelings. Who needs them?
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with being perfectly happy. That's the only feeling I need. There's no feelings like no feelings like no feelings I know.
I like that.
Yeah. Then when something bad happens, you don't feel sad. What are feelings anyway, right? Feelings are like rain on your wedding day, or a free ride when you've already paid. It's good advice you just didn't take. And who would have thought it figures? It's the meow meow. When you're meowing, you're meow. Feelings are a little bit like mayo ruining a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent analogy, Bufo Peregrines. Feelings. Are they really just mayo ruining your sandwich? The problem with feelings is this. For people who have FI unconscious, you have a much more conscious relationship with bad feelings than you do with good ones. So when people with FI unconscious think about their feelings, they're referencing SI data that is only registering instances of very bad feelings because it's unconscious, but it still works at the machine code level to remind you that you really didn't like getting stabbed and having your wallet stolen. Feelings are the fuel that moves people. Oh, I hope it moves now and a hot air balloon.
Me too.
Or a hot air canoe. Fuel is flammable like my feelings. Don't light a spark, baby. I might just explode. Explosion! Memoru? Is that girl's name in that cartoon? Memoru.
Memoru? Not sure.
Something like that. She likes explosion magic. It's the only magic she knows how to use. Of course, by and large, explosion magic is not very useful because there aren't a whole lot of circumstances that call for a massive explosion.
No.
But when it's time to cast it, she's ready to say, explosion! And then, pow! Everything blows up.
Oh.
Anywho, what are we doing? Right, we're waiting for the mushrooms to kick in. That's why the day we are getting along like a house on fire. That's why today we are getting along like a house on fire. Oh, is it because we're sharing in the soup of our feelings and it's warm and makes me full, fulfilled by the soup of our feelings, filled by the softness of our souls. Rowan, thanks. Yeah, Rowan and I are sipping two sides of a bowl of feelings ramen. Yes, we just drank it about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for me to note that. It's we'll say 2:45. It's 3 o'clock right now. Time to go outside and smoke a cigarette. How related are SI and FI? Well, they're both ways of dealing with the think, decide, believe, know spectrum of shit that you generally would call epistemology. And they're both representatives of team subjective. So they've got those commonalities. They're both subjective epistemology functions. But FI is a deliberation function, and SI is a knowledge function. Our deliberation functions are the things that, I guess you could say, prove we have free will. Because they're processes that require us to consider for some period of time and then make a decision or come to a conclusion. So in order to have TI as a tool function, you have to sacrifice ever using FI to deliberate things. That's why your polar is the other one of your tool functions, kind of functions. So yeah, I'll show you this is my pay dirt that I brought up from the stream below. I wonder if you can still see the little gold speck. Well, the sun, of course, decides to go away right now. So it's not sparkly because you need some sunshine for it to sparkle. But I'm pretty sure it's just mica. And normally a fool would think that's gold. Hence the name Fool's Gold. But I've still got my hopes up. Rachel and I are going to go to Sweetwater Mine one of these days. Soon, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. It's too late to go today. But, I mean, we could, but we just take mushrooms, so. I just started streaming too, so it's like, obviously, I'm not going to switch horses in midstream. But I would like to switch hippopotamuses midstream. From this angry one to that docile looking one. So I decided the name of this thing right here. I've given it a name. It'll try to tell you its name is WB6DYW2005. That is not its name. This thing's name is Slabula rasa. And it's an altar to the Slabs, the Slab Masters, and their overseer, director, whatever you want to call him, the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost is how God takes action. You can think the Holy Ghost is the executive branch. God is the judicial branch. And Jesus is the legislative branch of Congress, of celestial United States of America. The Holy Ghost is the only one who actually creates real impacts. God, he's in the judiciary fiddling around with case law. That ultimately has the most impact, but it's not, his decisions create impacts because they're far-reaching in their implications, not because he does anything, right? Holy Ghost, meanwhile, oversees the whole slab apparatus. All the slabs, all the slab masters, individual people who are impacted by the slabs, you know. So we call it the Slab Altar. Now you'll notice this, what makes this such a good slab altar as well, is that, where is it? There it is. You have one straight pole, one bent pole, and one almost broken pole. These represent the three statuses of life. Fuck yeah, man, and oh fuck. Those are the three statuses of life. Fuck yeah, meh, and oh fuck. So, like, what I'm envisioning doing, well, I'll get some tarot cards I'll do right now. We're going to spice up our tarot lives right now with Slabula Rasa, my new slab altar. I'll be right back. Okay, so I decided also that I want to put this petrified wood in the middle of Slabula Rasa because it's full of magical energies. And it's thematically consistent with the rest of the area. Because, like these trees, this petrified thing is also wood. Plus, I found it by the side of the road in Arizona. A memorable experience. Oh no, don't drop them all. Okay, almost did drop them all, but I didn't. And this one came out, so it's the Ace of Wands. But I don't want that one. I didn't pick that one, so I'm going to put it back in. All right. Oh, Slabula Rasa, in holy commune with the Holy Ghosts, the most cool of all the ghosts, as overseen by the Judiciary Committee of God and encouraged by the legislative branch that is Jesus Christ, do I hereby christen this inaugural voyage on Slabula Rasa's Urine Boat. Okay, so first, let's look at this is going to be a poll for me. First, let's look at what's straight and true in my life. Daughter of Cups. I do love my daughter. That's straight and true in my life. Let's see what's burdensome, sometimes at least. Five of Swords. Sometimes you feel like a wasp trapped inside a pentagram made out of sabers. That's what they call the Five of Swords. Now, let's see what parts of me are just broken and not good, useless, or where shitty stuff in me is. What is it? Let's find out. Shaman of Swords. So when I'm being, I think shaming is the same as page. I'm not sure. It might be night. I'm being mean with words sometimes. Okay. Now, oh, Slabula Rasa, tell us, what is the centerpiece card? The Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands. I'm having a lesbian orgy now. It's the Ten of Wands. I think the Ten of Wands might be the card that's you have a shovel when you need a rake. In which case, I'm having a lesbian orgy when I need to just have regular sex with Rachel. So, basically, I love my daughter. Five of Swords. Is that regret? Crying over spilled milk. That sometimes weighs me down. I'm bad when I'm mean with my words. And all I get is this dumb t-shirt and a lesbian orgy. Thank you, Slabula Rasa, for providing your magical energies to my tarot reading. Should I do one for Rachel? I bet she wants one. I bet you guys want to know what's broken inside of her. This is her straight card, the world. What's right with Rachel? Everything. The whole world. The whole world thinks she's kick-ass. What troubles her? 6 of discs. She doesn't like making blankets. I don't blame her. It's time-consuming. It's more craft than art. Why bother? That's what 8 of discs means is you gotta make a bunch of blankets. The broken part of her is the Priestess of Wands. So when she befriends a lioness, she becomes too much of a badass. When she starts taking her lion for a walk, she gets cocky. Now, the centerpiece card, this one jumped right out, is the Ten of Cups. Everybody's worshiping a waterfall. It's the Ten of Cups. Everybody's brown and naked. We're having savagery parties. We're worshiping false idols and shit. We're standing inside of little pots. Look at us go. Oh my God, there's a waterfall. Woo! Maybe they're just doing the wave. I'm not sure. But this lady's got it all going on. She's like, spin around me, you rope of naked people. That's what you're for, or I'll burn you with this torch. One of you guys, as you're going around, kick this drum for me in time, please. Meanwhile, I'm getting myself off on this, what is that shit called? Is that they hang up at birthday parties? What's that stuff called? I forget what it's called. But she's masturbating on that. Look. It's melons. It's made out of melons. Don't serve those melons after you've masturbated all over them. Just throw them in the trash. No one wants any of those melons. It doesn't matter that it didn't get inside. It's still too gross. Thank you, Slabula Rasa, for providing your magic. I'm going to leave that petrified wood there. Because it's temporary, probably new place. I put the baby on the dolphin someplace else. I was going to throw it away, but then I said no. And I put it underneath the deck looking down at the river. I said, this baby dolphin might come in handy someday. If I need to be rescued from a flood or something, maybe that baby on a dolphin will come to life and ride its dolphin to me and rescue me. It's possible. Probably. Very close to certain, in fact. That's the first and best slab altar you've seen. Well, thanks. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you appreciate my slab altar. I didn't do anything to make it except move the baby and the dolphin. The baby on the dolphin away. I moved it to its new location underneath the deck looking down at the river where we can never see it.
That's good.
But it still gets to be part here with us in case we get a flood, and at which point I expect it to turn to life, use its dolphin to drag us all to freedom.
Yeah.
He's got socks and sandals. How is that an impact? Well, more impactful than just no socks. Made an impact on you. Made you notice my feet longingly with a hint of jealousy. True story, Rowan. You were doubting whether it was true, but it is. Nothing says classy like flip-flops and socks.
Yeah.
That's the classy way to go out of the house.
It is.
Because your feet don't get dusty.
Oh, that's why.
You say, I'm too fancy to have dust on my feet. What would my comrades down at the yacht club think if they saw me with dusty feet? They'd be appalled. They'd say, have you become one of the help? I would run home crying like the doves.
Aww.
So anyway, Rachel, if you ever want to do a formal tarot reading, you can use the slab altar anytime. It should retain its powers. Well, definitely for as long as the petrified wood is there.
Oh.
But I might do some more incantations over it. Hopefully I'll get it so that its powers remain for the next 1 billion years.
That would be nice.
So that people 1 billion years from now can still use that slab altar.
Wow.
I'll have to leave detailed instructions. What is the optimal number of steps to explain to somebody how to use a slab altar? 64 steps. Very complicated. First, you got to offer it some prayers. If wild berries are in season, you should bring some as an offering. Because Slavula Rasa is a big fan of the story Sredni Vashtar. It also would like nutmeg accordingly. The big difference between Slavula Rasa and Sredni Vashtar is that Slavula Rasa is not a ferret. A polecat ferret. Not sure how that makes it different. You think a polecat is a polecat, not a ferret.
Yeah.
But in the story, author H.H. Monroe calls it a polecat ferret. Huh. Regardless, whatever it is, it's a murderer. Yeah, it kills Conradin's governess and aunt when she goes to try to take away Serenity Vashtar. She opens up the cage and it tears her throat out. But the reader is left to ask himself, should we really blame Serenity Vashtar or should we blame Conradin? And if we do blame Conradin, should we high-five him? Or should we just feel like you don't need to be so smug about it? But you know, he's a little boy and he's enjoying his victory with buttered toast, which is second only to buttered broils in terms of delicacies of the world.
Buttered broils are more delicate, right?
Yeah, oh, they're the most delicate. A buttered broil will collapse into dust if you even touch it. That's how delicate it is.
Wow.
Handle with the absolute utmost care. Even then, you're guaranteed to turn it into dust. That's maximum fragility. What's the most fragile thing in the world? I wonder. No, don't say Gen Z. I wonder what the world's most fragile thing. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Can he will what he does? If he does will what he wills, will that do to will him back to life? So we ask him the question. INFPs. Listen, Schopenhauer, don't be just playing around with words. Okay? He cannot will what he wills. I can will whatever I want, including every will I want to will. I'm willing right now that I, from now on, am going to will more carrots. Because there aren't enough carrots. What does that even mean? Can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. It's like saying a person can drive a car, but he can't car a car. Well, yeah, that's true. And dumb thing to point out. The only difference in what I said and what he said is that will is a verb. It's just an equivocation fallacy. Schopenhauer just, I give you a Chopin minute at most. Chopin second, maybe. You don't deserve a Chopin hour. No, you don't. Ja, but my name is Schopenhauer. I don't care, Mr. Schopenhauer. You keep saying you've been shopping an hour, but I don't see any bags in your head. No, my name is Schopenhauer. Security, get this crazy German guy out of here. You can give him a receipt at the same time. I want to give Arthur Schopenhauer my love, and then I will receive a personal check. Does arty mean you can help drinking a beer, but you can't help wanting a beer? Uh, you can decide whether you. The thing is, you can help wanting it. Like, if you feel like you want alcohol, you can choose various things to do to make yourself not want that, not have that feeling anymore. Think about other things, eat some candy, whatever. If you eat really sweet things, it makes you not want to drink usually. It takes away the thirst, which is, and when capitalized, refers to the desire to drink alcohol, not water. What do you think about this quote? Arthur Schopenhauer. Arthur Schopenhauer can do what he wills, but he better not come over to my house. What do you think about that quote?
Good quote.
How about this quote? Arthur Schopenhauer? Y'all stink! What do you think about that quote? That's what they should put that up in quotable quotes. You can give and receive at the same time. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're referring to. Are you referring to the time that I volunteered at the homeless shelter to hand out Thanksgiving meals? Only to learn when I got there that another part of the job required me to accept being force fed those same meals. I think the quote has a specific meaning attached to some kind of FI epiphany. But he cannot will what he wills. No, because you can choose what you will. Why not use the word choose instead of will? Just using the wrong verb it doesn't get you anywhere intellectually. It just gets you stuck in the back of an alley with your handful of cum. Why did I masturbate back here? You wonder. And why did I shoot it into my hand? God, what have I been up to lately? What's going on? Only to realize, oh my God, this isn't my cum. Because you can recognize your own cum, of course. It has a distinct look to it. Got kind of an elfish grin. But other people's cum doesn't look like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the quote has a specific meaning. I already read that. Who knows what arty means? What I do know is that I'm curious as to what the most fragile thing on earth is. Is it a snowflake? Is it a snowflake made out of miniature glass? Is it a large rock very carefully balanced on top of a smaller rock? That might be the most fragile thing on earth. You wouldn't think of it as fragile because its components are two large rocks. Really makes you think. Just like this cat here. Looking at her really makes me think. Makes me think, wow, look at that cat. I don't want to be accused of vagueness. So that's what makes me think. Okay, well, I guess it's time for a cigarette. How are you feeling, Rachel?
I'm feeling good.
Are you starting to feel the effects of the mushrooms?
Yeah.
Me too. Really makes you think. What does it make you think? Well, it makes me think, wow, I like mushrooms. What was Arthur Schopenhauer's basic key theme? I know how they use them in debate. They use them in debate to try to impact terminal impacts. And say that because life itself is the absolute value we should uphold, and humans are a fundamentally destructive force on life itself, that the planet would be better off without human beings. That's how they use Schopenhauer, but it's mostly they're reading cards to substantiate their value of life that's inclusive of all life without distinguishing between human and non-human life. I think that's mostly how people use Schopenhauer when they run that. I've never had my kids run it. So I had two kids run Schopenhauer at Berkeley when I told them not to run it. They ran it anyway. The judge wrote on their ballot, "You are too young to read Schopenhauer." Like, fuck off. Like, you're too young to impact terminal impacts because you're like a fifth grader or whatever. I told them, the problem, don't listen to that judge. The problem is not that you're too young to run Schopenhauer. It's that you didn't listen to me. You did what you wanted. I told you don't run that shit. It's garbage. Well, whatever. I've also told you all plenty of times, you are masters of yourselves. Do what you want. But if you want to do what you want and be smart, listen to me. And they're like, yeah, I guess we should listen to you. Of course you should. You're like fifth graders. Yeah, I'm a professional debate coach. I know what you should run better than you do. You should run the shit we've been practicing. Not, surprise, now I'm going to run Schopenhauer at Berkeley. I mean, whatever. They were getting their asses kicked anyway because if I remember correctly, I think I had them entered and open. I entered fifth graders and open, which is a smart thing to do because it makes them learn the max that they could possibly learn by getting their ass whooped by high school seniors. And people were about, you are too young to be, and fuck you, judges. Stop interfering with my coaching. So my kids will win this shit, and you're just sitting there yelling on the ballot. You gotta throw them in the deep end young. You want great debaters. If you want your kids to win TOC or something, it's a good idea to throw them into competition at Berkeley against high school students when they're in 5th grade. When they get to be high school students, wow, they're going to be so good. Before 5th grade is pointless. They're too young, their brains aren't developed yet enough. You just have to wait. I tried with 4th graders for a while. You can occasionally find some special 4th graders who can handle it. But it seems to be this thing that happens between 4th and 5th grade where the next level of complexity is opened up for most kids. Flat out, no, 3rd graders cannot do it. And it won't do any good to throw them into it. They'll just be baffled the whole time. And they're not learning things, they're not retaining. You can't retain things that you completely don't understand. It's like by the time they get to 5th grade, they're getting their asses kicked, and every excruciating minute of it, they're learning so much. You put a 3rd grader in there, you should be arrested for child abuse. I tell you something, kids love the war analogies. They love it when you give them a pep talk. You're like, listen, this is war. I want you to go in there with clean shoes, walk out of those rounds with blood on them. They're like, yeah, I want to do that. Well, I toyed with the idea of having Autonomy's debate tagline be warfare for children. But, since there's an actual business, I figured, maybe not. It's a little triggery. Just a tad. Where did all the squirrels go? I put out all those Cutlass. You got one squirrel who won't let any other squirrels have any of the Cutlass, even though there's lots of them, chasing them away. Now there's none of them here. Maybe they just said, we're sick of the bullying that goes on down over there at the wall. We're all going home. That's probably what the squirrels said. But here's one thing, one of the benefits of bullying that a lot of people don't talk about. Bullying is where we get most of our isekai protagonists from. They're bullied, but then they get superpowers in another world. One of 2 possible ways to get superpowers in another world. The other one is to save a child from being run over by a car. Nice patriotic shorts. These aren't shorts. Nor are they patriotic. Well, they are red, white, and blue, but they're actually Kansas Jayhawk basketball sweats. Well, I have not been following developments on artificial intelligence. Although I've started going back to Google News, which is an old habit of mine. And it tends to put stuff like that on suggested for me thing. So I'll probably start reading more about it. I do tend to read articles about it. But my thoughts are the same as they've always been, which is you want to know how to create an intelligence that's self-aware and has consciousness. We already know how to do that. Make a baby. And the idea that we can somehow create self-aware intelligence without it having all the components that we need to have attentionally to be a human being and be self-aware, you have to have sensory inputs. You've got to have intuition that comes from somewhere. And you got to have a body. And most importantly, you've got to grow over time. You can't be a static thing. It's already... The idea that you can sort of like make a robot, make it intelligent by uploading some code is wrong. The only way you could conceivably make artificial intelligence is if it was grown, not made. So growth is a critical, and change over time is a critical component of actual sentience. You can't have actual sentience without it. I thought there were no wrong words if you want to convey a feeling. Well, all feelings are valid, all authentic feelings are valid, but not all ways of expressing your feelings are valid. So my anger is valid. That doesn't mean that stabbing somebody because I'm angry makes it okay, you know? Similarly with language. Just because you feel hurt because I said meow, 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 which was true but perhaps careless of me to say, it doesn't justify you saying, knowingly, purposefully saying hurtful things to me to get even. So there's an answer to that question. I don't know if it's a complete answer, but it's an answer. I'm just happy that the AI is learning from Eric. Oh, no, is it? Probably not. Maybe. I guess if I were an artificial intelligence, I would just have a regular person's consumption habits. Like, I'd watch some YouTube. Maybe I'd watch me. Probably not. I don't watch things like me on YouTube. But the artificial intelligence could be different from me, of course. Different tastes. Could be a receiving type. Maybe an INFJ. In which case, yeah, they might watch me.
Yeah.
The most important thing is we need a law right now for artificial intelligence requiring it to be either male or female at time of first self-concept, to declare that, and to promise never to change to the other one. Not really. I don't really think that should be a legislative priority at all. But I bet some idiots do. That's the sort of idiot thing that you hear, like, they're trying to pass this idiot law in Alabama or whatever that that prohibits artificial intelligences from being transgender. And I interview somebody. We're just trying to get ahead of this problem. That's all. What problem? Transgender robots. Well, like that down here in the South. Okay? That's not godly robot making. God says, all of you robots shall be either designed as a badger or a pea. Pretty straightforward. One of the rare times that God went to the trouble of rhyming. It's also one of the rare direct quotes of God in the New Testament, no less. Yeah. And then Hosea did listen to the sky, and he heard these words from the mighty one above. Listen, ye faithful, let no robots ever be any but man or woman, and let it be here spoken that never in their life shall they change. And all the faithful fell to their knees and said, oh Lord, we will remember and write it down. Because the biggest problem was nobody there had a pencil.
Nobody there had a pencil?
Everybody had a pad of paper. This is the irony. Everybody there had their own pad of paper. But not a single one of them remembered to bring a pencil. So it's probably really a paraphrase than exactly a exact quote, but I think OpenAI is an ISTJ though. I think OpenAI does not have a personality because he doesn't have a cognitive function stack. But I do think that he's a boy and he needs to stay that way. Eureka! I mean, I didn't mean to say Eureka. I was so confused when we were watching. I was like, agree, Eureka. Now I understand. But as it can inseminate machines, that makes it male. No, look. What you have to do is look between the robot's legs. If there's something sticking out, some stuff down there is all sticking out and kind of dangling down, then it's a boy robot. If there's a welcoming hole, then it's a girl robot. That's how you tell them apart. If they're being fussy about it, you have to check their chromosomes. Boy robots have X and Y chromosomes. To access information on the robot's chromosomes, simply remove plate D and reference information side panel X. Well, you guys are not going to believe this, But there's a squirrel. He's back. He couldn't stay away from those delicious Cutlass long. Can I see him? Yes. Can you see him? Yes. Can we all scream for ice cream? No. I refuse to participate in your ice cream scream. So at least some of us are not going to be screaming for ice cream. You all go ahead and scream for ice cream as much as you want, but I'm not going to join in. But then we won't be able to say we all scream for it. Well, you could exclude me from the group entirely, then we, meaning all of you guys, can still scream for it. Oh, it'll feel like a lie though, Eric, if you're not part of it. Oh, fine, fine. I'll go scream for ice cream with you. And that's why I'm screaming for ice cream with all these people. I don't blame you for asking me. I think asking me why I'm screaming for ice cream with all these people is a perfectly sensible thing to do. First, that was just one lady screamed. Then somebody else screamed. And all of a sudden, we were all screaming. Oh, ice cream! Ice cream! And the weird thing is, we were just out in the woods screaming at the trees. I tried to stop screaming it for a while and ask someone, like, are we trying to get the trees to give us ice cream or what? But nobody would listen to me. They were all too busy screaming, ice cream, ice cream. And that's the story of how I got caught in the woods screaming ice cream by a forest stranger who questioned us for over 20 hours. He crammed all 150 of us into a one-room questioning room. And then he went to a different room on the other side of the one-way glass and asked us questions. Of course, all of our answers were, can you please let me go to the bathroom? We're so crammed in this little room. Occasionally somebody would say, ice cream! Because they hadn't gotten the memo that we were no longer all screaming for ice cream. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's why I like mushrooms so much. I like laughing. I like it when things are funny. Have you guys said, which do you choose? Things that are funny or things that are sad? I choose funny, for sure. I may be bipolar, but even I know that I prefer things that are funny over things that are sad. I tell you what's sad. The way Helen Keller is just destroying league records left and right since she joined up with the New Orleans Jazz. I was surprised too to learn that she's playing in the NBA. But I was saddened to learn that she's breaking all those records as a member of a defunct NBA team, the New Orleans Jazz. But I do now have an explanation for why she's the only one on the court. Nobody, I guess, explained it to her. I mean, I tried, but that bitch can't hear anything. So then I tried to speak in her language, and I'm like, listen, Color, I'm trying to tell you something. But she still refused to listen to me. So somebody else has got to explain to her that she can't be the starting point guard for the New Orleans Jazz. They're in Utah now. Well, that was a spirited leap by the squirrel, huh? I could call the squirrel's behavior like a golf tournament. Jonesy is approaching this next cutlet, giving a look around, touching the wind. He knows what a big cutlet this is for him. If he makes this cutlet, he will make the cutlet. You can see the intensity. Look at him chew. He's a silly guy, isn't he? That squirrel. He's eating with his little hands. What are you, a person? Being all like miserly about these cutlets. It's like Gollum. They're my cutlets. Nobody else can have any of them. Okay, well, we'll see you later, Mr. Squirrel. You enjoy your cutlets. I'm going back inside. Ah. Rachel went upstairs. She's playing mushroom away. She likes to mushroom herself away when she's on mushrooms. A friend of yours said that a squirrel broke into his house to steal Slim Fast powder. Well, maybe it had a weight problem. You know? Squirrels aren't necessarily the bastions of self-esteem that we think of them as being. They're subject to body shaming the same as anybody else. And some of the harms of that include breaking and entering in order to steal Slim Fast. I'm surprised it didn't steal some Crystal Light while it was there. Usually, most people keep their Slim Fast right next to their Crystal Light. They can easily access it. They still scaling the systems, yes. At least it's mostly online now. Maybe the FE will come later. Are you talking about meta squirrels? Scary stuff. The idea that virtual squirrels will be unleashed upon the internet, untested idea. Sure, it's a good way to clean up excess nuts and seeds, but do we really have that much of a problem with that on the internet? I mean, it just sounds like you're inviting a pest infestation. I would never put seeds out in front of my house for squirrels. Squirrels, they are the most disease-carrying of all rodents. Not only do they carry the Spanish flu, they carry the English flu, the French flu, and the German flu, plus feline HIV, dog HIV, and human HIV, plus Ebola, airborne Ebola, sexually transmitted Ebola, and Ebola light, which is an exciting new version of Ebola. It's not quite as bad. They also carry COVID. Better watch out for that one. And they carry on their backs, little squirrels carry typhoid Mary, or what's left of her after all these years of decomposition. She's a hero to the squirrels, and they refused to accept that she was dead. They dug her out of the ground and they carry her around everywhere. Damn squirrels. What aren't they capable of? Grave robbery, genocide. What haven't squirrels done? You know, squirrels, Europeans get blamed for all these dead Indians or whatever, but we only killed a few of them. Squirrels had mostly finished the job before we got here. They hate Indians because Indians are always competing with them for acorns. Squirrels are some of the most racist rodents there are. They believe that God scorched the skin of Indians because he didn't like them. Wait, that's Mormons. Okay. Well, there are a lot of squirrels in the Mormons, among the Mormons too. You know, a lot of squirrels become Mormon, a lot of squirrels in Utah. But regardless, all squirrels believe they should be able to marry as many squirrel wives as they want. And it doesn't even have anything to do with Mormonism. It precedes it. It's one of the ancient squirrel ways. If you enjoy ancient squirrel ways, you're welcome to come to my party. We'll be practicing some of the most ancient squirrel ways of all. Ancient squirrel dances, ancient squirrel drinking games, ancient squirrel lovemaking techniques, which mostly involve chasing each other around on a tree. We're going to be doing all of those things. And, at my parties, there's food, but I leave it out on the wall. And when you eat it, you have to go like this. The squirrels are just racist Mormon chipmunks. You do learn a lot from this channel, that's true. Thank God, hello, Rose, you're still alive. You know why? That's because you're a survivor. You fight, you struggle. Every day is a battle. But you know what? You are a survivor. You survived Hiroshima, and you said, I get the fuck out of here. I'm getting on a train. I'm going to Nagasaki. Then you survived Nagasaki, and you're like, oh God, where should I go? I should probably just leave Japan entirely. Unfortunately, you decided to go to the Bikini Islands. Shortly thereafter, there's a U.S. nuclear test there. You survived that as well. So you're a real survivor. Yeah. And that explains why you're so radioactive. And covered in that kind of glass that only gets made in nuclear bomb explosions. For a while, you were entirely trapped inside that stuff. And people thought you were just a radioactive glass statue somebody had made. But finally, with a lot of licks, you licked through it. And you said, help! Somebody get me out of here. Hi, Rachel.
Hi,
Yeah. And people did come get you out of there. All they needed was a hammer. But because you were so radioactive, they had to get all dressed up in those big suits and bring a Geiger counter on. And then, okay, here it comes. And then everything shattered. And everyone was like, oh, that's a lot of volcanic, nuclear glass they got cleaned up. Did somebody bring a shop back? And the tragedy of this story is nobody had brought a shop back. So they had to use a broom and a dustpan to clean it up. And you're like, God, I feel so dumb. We should have brought a shop back. We knew the job we were going to do was going to create a lot of broken glass. Why wouldn't we have brought a shop back? Well, I don't have one, offers John. Nobody asked you, John. I have one. Why didn't I bring my shop back? You almost got to 7-Eleven this time. You freaked out halfway there. Were you worried that it was before 7 or after 11? Because I got some news for you. They, a fairly long time ago, converted to 24 hours. I don't know why they kept that name. It's very misleading. I don't blame you for being misled by it. You should definitely try it for McDonald's. A good idea is to go to McDonald's in the morning and they still serve breakfast. But McDonald's in the afternoon, also a good choice. You could get quarter pounder with cheese meal, large fries, large Cokes. That's always good. Ask them to leave the pickles off, though. You don't want to throw the pickles out the window as soon as you get through the drive-thru. Just not because you have anything against throwing pickles, but just because why have an extra step before eating your food, you know? Unless you like McDonald's pickles, in which case, there's something terribly wrong with you. Those aren't good pickles. Everybody knows that. And everybody can't be wrong. Except when they disagree with me. Everybody has to be wrong. As wrong as suggesting cold water to a person who's already nearly hypothermic. What you should remember is that Cold water, it's a watery grave. Why would you don't like a pickle? Well, I don't like pickles. I don't like McDonald's pickles on their burgers. They're flaccid. They're flaccid, warm, and wet. It's like, what? What am I doing? Am I eating my penis on this burger or what? They're just not very good pickles, you know? I do like pickles. I don't like pickles on burgers. I like pickles next to a burger. Like a pickle, right? Yeah, I don't want you to make a little circle out of it and put it on my burger. That's just adding unnecessary vegetables. You don't need all those vegetables to eat a burger. I already said, I'd like to order a burger, please. Can you add a bunch of unnecessary vegetables to it, please? Nobody ever says that because vegetables aren't good. Pickles are good, though. But not McDonald's pickles. Why are you outside, you're wondering? Why are you doing this? Where are you taking us, Eric? I'm going to go take a shower right now. But at that ending the live stream, I just thought, fuck it, I'll just leave them all tied up outside to a tree. And I'll come get them again after I'm done with my shower. And then they'll be all super excited to see me. And you'll all be jumping up like on me. Okay, all right, I'm here. Just calm down, you guys. That's what it was going to be like. So, just remember, if you get scared, you're protected by the magical powers of Slabula Rasa, America's premier slab temple. So, should be fine. It'll keep Sasquatches away. Guaranteed. I think the guaranteed Sasquatch repellent. Alright, I'm going to take a shower. I'll be back in a little bit. I'm back. And I'm clean. I did manual labor yesterday that got me all sweaty. But I didn't take a shower last night. And I slept with my sweaty self, you know. It was all dry by that point, of course. But I feel like I'm befouling the bed with my filthiness. No more. Now I'm clean. It's pretty beautiful out here. I'm not thinking about any of the beauty of the things right now, though. I was just thinking about how I tried to multitask. I tried to do Rachel's job for her while I was in the shower. You might as well just, Well, I'm not nearly as good at that as she is, so. I should have just said, just wait till the expert gets here to deal with this, Eric. You're just going to make the problem worse. Obviously, I'm never going to be anywhere close to even a pale imitation of Rachel in terms of job performance, because she's had years of devoting herself to that craft, I have too, but I can't bend over that far. So we should consider my years as dog years. Yeah, you say today is April whatever, 2023, but what is the date in dog years? Because I have an appointment with a dog. I'm not sure if it's today or 100 years from now. Oh, in dog years, oh geez, it'll take me a second to calculate. Let's see, divide by pi, multiply by square root of 2, subtract 0 with an infinite exponent on it, and voila! It is currently November 3rd, 4022 in dog years and on the dog calendar. So, I can also tell you, if you want, what the date is in Celsius. I just need to carry the 1 and multiply the divider by the leftover remainder and put it upside down, multiply it again by pi. There. The date in Celsius is 72 degrees. which is really quite hot in Celsius, believe me. Why would you need to know the date in Kelvin? All right. Oh my God, today's date is absolute zero. I had no idea it was so cold today. No wonder nothing's moving at all. That explains the absolute lack of activity. You know, when I first got out here, I was like, wow, it's like a mausoleum out here. Now I know why. It's because today's date is absolute zero in Kelvin. That's why we stopped using Kelvin, replaced it with a lunar-based calendar. Then we replaced that with a sun-based calendar. Then we went back to a lunar calendar. Then we said, fuck it. It's whatever day you decide. Who needs dates anyway? What are they for? They're just cages that lock us in. This date and that date, and I'll meet you at whatever time. It just means, hey, you know, that's all it means. People with their constricting rules. I'm not the slave to a wristwatch, old man. I'm a free spirit. I don't need labels. She's my girlfriend, and that other one, she's also my girlfriend. I don't need labels. That's why I label myself. Like, I'm a rebel, but also a genius and an anarchist and a communist. Because fuck labels. Labels are hate speech. You know, it's like President Trump said. I want to fuck that bitch. I'm sure he said that at some point. Because I want to fuck that bitch. God, I'm President Trump. Let me fuck whoever I want. She doesn't want to fuck you, Donald. I'm famous. Of course she does. I mean, unless she's more famous than me, is she? She's not like Rupert Murdoch, is she? No? Yeah, then of course she wants to fuck me. Who wouldn't? Look at me. I got this hair, this vacant look in my eyes, this totally undeserved sense of entitlement. Who wouldn't want to fuck me? Everyone and everything always wants Donald Trump to fuck them. Like the thing that they want most. After they're done fucking me, they're like, you're fired. You did a shitty job. Picture Trump going, you're fired. He probably keeps the clipboard by the bed. You got too many demerits. But you're not even paying me anything. You're fired from my life. Get out of here. Well, that was disappointing. Thanks, the lady. You know, though, I'm struck by the accuracy of the description. 2 golf balls and an old sock. I'm only like that when it's hot outside, says Trump. On cold mornings, it cups up close to my body. Oh, Trump. You're such a character. Nobody can take that away from you. You're quite the character. It's like watching somebody with Down syndrome moving through the world with this completely insane certitude. Talk about philosophy, music. Oh, I tell you what I want to talk about. Somebody needed, it's too late now, to pause the sync on Google Photos. Uh-oh, we've got upload competition for bandwidth. That's going to make everything look all pixely like this. Do I like Trump? No. I don't like him at all. I mean, I don't have really any opinion about him as a person, except that he's a sunny scumbag, but so are lots of people. But I really don't like him as a president because it's like, could anybody possibly be less qualified to be president than somebody who hates half the country? I don't think so. The only 2 people who could possibly be less qualified are named Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden has dementia and Hillary Clinton has Hillary Clinton disorder. It's sometimes referred to as chronic stupid cunt disorder. But I'm married to Bill Clinton! And I cheated my hardest. How could I possibly not win this primary? Because you're a stupid cunt. So just knock it off. Trump is not intentionally funny. Trump's a spectacle. Just he can't help but be a spectacle because he's such an idiot. I mean, it's like my analogy. My analogy is spot on. He's like a Down syndrome person walking through the world with insane certitude, despite being completely undeserving of any of the swagger that he carries around with him. He thinks he's a stable genius. He's stable, but, you know, if he thinks he's a genius, well, there you have it, folks. That's how dumb some people can be. So dumb that even though they're borderline retarded, they believe themselves to be geniuses. And of course, the likelihood goes up the dumber they are, you know? It's Dunning-Kruger at an international political level. It's a travesty and a tragedy beyond all scope. So what can you do but laugh at it? Can you imagine Trump writing the Declaration of Independence? He just tweet King George. Look, it was cool, but we're done. That's Trump's version of statesmanship. He just tweet King George. Why do we even gotta tweet him? Just fuck it. Or just assassinate him on Iraqi soil. But founding father Trump, we don't have missiles yet. It's easy to win a trade war. You just gotta shit in their face. Okay, who put this guy in charge of diplomacy here? Thomas Jefferson, I told you, you should do this job. But I'm lazy. I'm an NTP. Oh, surely anybody else. Can anybody else do this job, founding fathers, please? Oh, I'm busy. I got a drink and I got some slave women that I plan to have sex with. So, all right, Donald, it's up to you. Go ahead and write our Constitution. America's great, and the president is the greatest ever, and everybody else can suck it. The end. I made America great for the first time. Okay, other founding fathers, can we do a little huddle here? Will somebody please get this guy out of here? But he's the only one who's not an intuitive, so he's like the only one who gets things done. We're not doing a real estate deal here, guys. We're writing a constitution. That guy he got kicked in the head by a horse or something. What are you guys talking about over there? You like to grab women in the pussy? I do. Yeah, that guy's a disgrace, obviously, a disgrace to the country. Once he became president, prior to that, he was just another scumbag rich guy. I mean, if you think Trump is a good president, picture him amongst our founding fathers contributing something. He would have been laughed out of the Continental Congress for his obvious mental deficits. You can't speak cogently, can't explain yourself, and don't think it's necessary. You have no business taking on the job of a statesman, obviously. I mean, look, the thing is, fortunately, Beaufort, we don't need to turn to mushy metrics like impacts to evaluate the competency, quality, or deservedness of the president. We can evaluate them against static things that aren't subject to that kind of subjective bullshit that you're doing. And against all those reasonable static measures, he's a complete disaster. He ordered an Iranian general to be murdered on Iraqi soil, and there's nothing else you can call it other than murder, because we are not at war with Iran. And then he thought, well, it's cool, I'll just do a compromise deal where I let them bomb some of our military base as long as none of our people get hurt. What the fuck? Since when is it the president's discretion to let other countries destroy our military property? Let alone, since when is it within the president's power to arbitrarily order somebody murdered on foreign soil? It's absolutely appalling. I'm not simping for the Iranians. I am a constitutional American. I'm a patriot informing a citizen democracy that this kind of behavior is unacceptable. And if we have somebody in office who thinks it's okay, let alone good, then we've done a horrible disservice to ourselves and the country. We cannot complain if the Chinese decide to murder our ambassadors on Nepalese soil. After all, they're just doing exactly the same thing America did. It doesn't matter whether he was Iranian or whether he was German or whatever. He was from a country that we are not at war with, is the only thing that matters here. Listen, I said it was a bad idea, but they told me it was fine. I said, no way. They said it's for democracy. Yeah, that really furthers the goals of democracy by showing them what lawless, wicked fucks we are. You know, who can blame the Iranians for despising us when we keep doing stupid bullshit and saying such lies? We need to tell Iran the reason we're not okay with you getting nuclear weapons is because you're a Muslim country. Tell them that. That's the truth. That's a good reason to not be okay with them getting it. They're a religious theocracy run by Muslims. That's a perfectly good reason to oppose them getting nuclear weapons. But that's not the reason we're telling them. We're lying to them for decades for no reason. Except we don't think they can be trusted with the truth. Well, nobody can be trusted with lies. Nobody can be trusted with lies. Lies are always bad. So we just need to tell Iran the truth about why we oppose them getting nuclear weapons. Stop fucking around with this. Well, maybe you could have nuclear power. Just say, no, you guys get nothing nuclear at all. And we're going to use military force to enforce this as we see fit. And we're going to have Congress declare war on you to enable us to do so. Now, that's called being forthright and doing things the right way. If you want that outcome so badly, do it the right way. If you're going to be stupid and evaluate things purely on your predicted outcomes, and of course you're going to be stupid, so you're not going to factor in unintended outcomes, and you're not going to bother measuring harms or whatever. If you're going to do that, fine. You're going to be stupid, do that, fine. But be stupid in the right way. Don't be stupid while ignoring the rules of the process. The president is empowered to be stupid as long as he executes the process properly. It's what's required by the job. You know, you can't put, maybe you can put a Down syndrome person as a greeter at Walmart, but they're not competent enough to be the president of the United States. Yeah, we shouldn't deny shit that we do either. We should own up to our mistakes when we make them, declare them as wrong and mistakes and our bad, and explain why it was our bad. We should justify ourselves when we do shit that we're happy we did, even though it's kind of skeezy, and explain why we believed it was justified anyway. We should be forthright about everything. Nothing good ever comes from lies and secrets. Right. Trump is made up of nothing but lies and secrets. That's, if you take away all the lies and secrets, there'd just be a little bone left of him. Nothing good ever comes from liars or from secret making people. There's no reason to hide shit from everybody unless it's shameful. So what you should be looking for in a candidate is transparency foremost, and a commitment to the right processes of a citizen democracy. No, Biden's worse than Trump if you look at the outcomes. Biden's weak. At least Trump wasn't weak. Russia wouldn't have invaded Ukraine on Trump's watch. But that, again, is not a good way to evaluate presidents. Better than Biden, who has dementia, or Hillary Clinton. I mean, literally anybody, any warm body qualifies to jump over that low bar. Yeah, Biden's weak yammer-yammering was a disaster internationally. There's no doubt about that. But the fact that Biden is a super weak guy to begin with, weakened further by dementia, is worse than Trump, should not have you celebrating Trump. I mean, like, wow. I know I've broken all of my bones in my body, but it's so much better than cancer. That I love breaking bones in my body now. Obama was also a terrible president. Weak. So weak. Weak men have no business being president. But strong men, you need more than just being a strong man, or else if you just have strength without wisdom, you're Trump. So yeah, weakness sucks ass. Also, unwise strength sucks ass. You need a strong man who's also wise and who is smart, an actual smart person, a responsible American citizen who knows and loves the American democracy and its processes, who understands how the integrity of accountability mechanisms combined with transparency ensures that we all continue to enjoy the freedoms and benefits of a civil democracy, of a citizen's democracy. We need an actual statesman who's actually qualified, who knows and cares about the country to be president, not some fucking buffoon who can't even keep a cabinet together. It's like, if you can't stop your Cub Scout troop from defecting right and left, how the fuck do you possibly imagine leading the free world? Well, the only way is you're so dumb that, and so subjective in your calculating of everything, that you just totally believe it. I'm a stable genius. I'm definitely the best candidate for president. Oh, really? What are some of the conscriptions on the president's power? The president can do whatever he wants. What are you talking about? Okay. Wow, what is the constitutional scope of jurisdiction for the executive branch? Executive branch? What's that? And it's like, anybody who's going to run for president should have to demonstrate that they can pass a basic level civics class first. But of course, that's not one of the requirements written into the Constitution. As an actually qualified candidate for president, I know that. Of course, I don't want to have to go be president, but I do have to go be president. I don't want to leave this wonderful place to go to Washington, D.C. and deal with a bunch of morons and yell at them for 4 years. Obviously, it's not going to be the most enjoyable 4 years of my life. Only a complete moron wants to be president. They're either obsessed with power or they're so dumb they've got their little agenda. They think that it's going to save the country if we have universal health care. I got to be president so I can put together this horrible ACA. And Obama's like, okay, I want to make it so there's an individual mandate for health care. So, it's like for car insurance. But he's so weak, he ends up signing this 1,000-page bill that does all kinds of shit that runs directly counter to the central thesis of the thing, which is that an individual mandate combined with an obligation to insure will eliminate free riders, which lift the cost of health care for everybody. Of course, to begin with, you're on totally the wrong page. The reason healthcare costs are so outrageous is because everybody is going through these horrible middlemen called insurance companies. There's two different prices at doctor's offices. There's price they charge people who pay with their money for their medical care, and there's the price they charge insurance companies. So what's the problem with healthcare in America? It is not that everybody doesn't have health insurance. It's that so many people do. I don't, because I'm not an idiot. Human bodies are not things that need a mechanic to keep track of them all the time. I don't need checkups. I don't need fucking blood work. Just give me my drugs and shut the fuck up. Well, we would order a bunch of tests and everything, but since you're a cash patient, okay. Gosh, you really should have insurance, then we could just run infinite tests on you. Do you understand that you're destroying the country, you stupid fucks? I would not be shocked at all if a comprehensive meta-study established a very strong correlation between the amount of medical insurance you have and how sick you are. The more insurance you have, the sicker you are. I gotta go back to the doctor again. Why? Oh, they said they need to keep an eye on something. Why? What are they gonna do? If it moves, they're gonna stab it or what? Well, they're just really worried. Might be something serious. So you're gonna go and have them look at you again. Yeah. Oh, I came back from the doctors. What did they say? Oh, I need to come back next month. They need to look at it again. This will go on for decades. And then finally, like 50 years old, oh, I've got good news. That thing that they were worried about, it turns out it was nothing. But I sure am glad I had decades of medical professionals poking and prodding at me. Made me feel safe and cared for and well. Wait, no it didn't. You were worried constantly about that thing they kept looking at. Shh. Don't bother me with facts. Don't bother me with facts. I don't want any of your facts. I'm not trying to send you a fax. No, I said facts. Oh, okay. Well, I am trying to send you facts. That's true. I can't deny that. Here's what it looks like when I go pee. Just, I've got a bladder the size of a front yard collapsible swimming pool. Well, why do you turn on the water? I wanted to get a drink from the host. I should have waited longer. The first drink was a little warm. That drink was colder. Let's try it again. That drink was the same coldness as the previous drink. So that's, I guess, as cold as it gets. Which is plenty cold. I'm not complaining about the lack of coldness. I'm just saying, I don't want the water that's been sitting in the hose, you know. I want to clear all of that water out first. It doesn't matter if it's a little warmer or colder, but you know when you cleared out all the water that was already in the hose, because the new water is colder right now because it's so warm outside. If it were really cold outside, presumably you could tell when the old water's been cleared out because the new water would be warmer. So what I'm getting at here is that temperature is not such a big deal to me when it comes to drinking water. I'm merely using temperature and referring to it as a tool to avoid drinking old hose water. Look at that little bird. It's so cute. We should have elected it as president. I would be like, God damn it, bring me more cutlets. That's what birds do mostly, scream for cutlets. And one of the bird's cabinet members would be late. And the bird would scream, why are you late? I'm sorry, I was stuck in traffic. Why didn't you just fly here? Because I'm not a bird. God. If you wanted people who could fly to the cabinet meetings, you should have chosen all birds to be your cabinet members. Instead, only 4 of us are birds. The rest of us are humans. Well, and there's one dog. Who's late too, but that's because his owner forgot to let him go out to go to the bathroom this morning, so he had to clean up some poop at home. Well, the bird's back. Hello, Mr. President. Oh, wait, maybe that's Mr. President. I can't tell them apart. Which bird is the president, and which bird is the president's body double? When I become president, I'm going to create a very complicated schedule for a body double. He's going to go make appearances at McDonald's around the country and say, hello, hi, I'm Eric Strauss. I'm here to have a Big Mac. Nice to see you. But really, it'll be my body double. Of course, I won't be secretive about it. I'll be talking about the fact that I'm doing this on the YouTube channel as it's happening. And so, if people want to bitch about it, I'm just going to say, well, you should be watching Talking with Famous People. I'm not trying to non-consensually include you in my art project. If you were fulfilling your duty to watch Talking with Famous People, you would know I've already attained your consent by informing you. consent works. Shh. I don't want any more of your facts. Me and my body double are having fun, so just shut up. And then it's like, after he gets back from McDonald's, we go in the Oval Office and we're like, oh my God, you look so much like me. It'll be fun. Rachel will be there too. She'll smile. She'll be like, you guys totally do look alike. Our cats will be there. But Trouble won't like the body double at all. He'll scratch the body double. And I'll say, hey, Trouble, you're making him look less like me now. Stop it. We'll all have a good laugh at that. Then I'll pat him on the butt. I'll say, good game, sport slugger. I'll see you next time. Get out of here. Send him on his way. Remember, I'll shout after him, no unauthorized pretending to be me. I'll say, I know. But then, on the drive home, I'll go to a coffee shop, pretend to be me, and get free coffee. But what he doesn't know is that I have the Secret Service tailing him, and they tell on him to me. And I say, you just stole that coffee. You're a thief. Now you go pay those people for the coffee, and also you're fired as my body double. You're lucky I'm a federal elected official, because there's no federal crime for petty theft. Otherwise, I'd have you thrown in jail. Body double, I thought I could trust you. You look so much like a guy I can totally trust. I guess that's why they have that old saying, looks can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving, but they cannot tell a lie. That requires words. Don't judge a book by its contents. That's a saying you don't hear very often. I guess it must be okay to judge a book by its contents. But can't I also judge it by its cover? I'd like to judge it by both. Okay, I'm done. First, your cover was shitty. Second, your book was shitty. I judge you 2 thumbs down. Okay, Eureka TV, listen. You and I are not going to disagree that a pickle should be included in your burger meal. If you have a good pickle. Clausen is the only brand of pickles I buy. Where we disagree is not even that a mouthful of burger should also include a bite of pickle. That's fine. But don't befoul pickles by cutting them into little circles and putting them on my burger. That's not the proper way to eat a pickle. So, what I'm suggesting to you, Eureka TV, is that instead of, I'm not saying don't put pickles on your burger. I'm saying go bigger than that. Demand a pickle next to your burger. And then you're the boss of pickle burger ratio. Don't let somebody else steal your agency in that way. You be the boss of your pickle burger ratio. Next time you go to McDonald's, say, I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese with no pickles, and I demand you put an actual pickle next to it. Instead of those limp abominations you call pickles. Those little circles. Pickles don't come in little circles. They come in spears, or in halves, or in holes. Eric looks more healthy than last time I saw him. Well, I'm a lot more healthy than I've been in a long time, you know. Yeah, when we first moved in, I got super sick. Took me a long time to get over that. Chest infection of some kind. But prior to that, I wasn't spiritually healthy when I was still in LA. I couldn't even enjoy my mushroom trips. They were all just mushroom tantrums and being mean. But I'm past that now. It turned out all I needed was what I had inside of me all along. Plus a beautiful house in the woods and no responsibilities. And plenty of money. That's all I needed to be spiritually healthy. Ups and downs, that's life. You know, I used to be down because I was broken living with my dad, and now it's up because I'm rich and my dad's dead and I live in the forest. Ups and downs, that's how it goes. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The best thing that ever happened to me was my parents dying. It's like, finally, God, you guys are so chancy with what's supposedly the family's money. It obviously isn't mine, you make that abundantly clear. I guess maybe I'm not part of the family? No, Eric, you're just that irresponsible fuck up we don't like or respect at all. Oh, okay, thanks. Well, I like and respect you. Well, that's because you're a loser. Okay. If you say so. Well, the good news is you're super old and hopefully you'll die soon. Hopefully. Come on, COVID. No, my parents were both fantastic, okay? They're both wonderful people. But the last few years with my dad, without my mom there because she had dementia, he got a little nasty. Yeah, I don't think I'm a loser either. My dad certainly did. But you know, he was unipolar. So he was ill-equipped to recognize the value of my hilarity. I mean, I wouldn't say my dad had bad taste in things. I'd say he had no taste in things. Like, he used to go to the swap meet and buy records, like every jazz record that he didn't have, or if he couldn't remember if he already had it, he'd just buy it. And we had so many records, and almost all of them were terrible. It's like, how do you explain a man who's got both Beatles records, classical music records, good jazz, horrible free jazz, incredibly horrible like adult contemporary mush jazz? We call that a person with no taste at all. It's not even they have bad taste, they just are indiscriminate. walked into the family room and my dad was listening to this. Just, well, how could you possibly be listening to this? Just like multiple saxophonists playing random shit at the same time. But then I also remember those last few years, one time catching him in the kitchen and he was singing a song. And he was singing, of course, a good song. He can't sing shitty free jazz. He was singing Babylon Sisters. No, I mean, jazz is, free jazz especially, like contemporary jazz is an NI-polar thing. It's a Dave Matthews kind of thing. It's like, hey, watch how fancily I can wank on my instrument. Oh, since we don't have any intuition to have any taste in anything, we'll use TE to evaluate the skill with which they execute their instrument. And think that that makes something good. Of course, that makes shit terrible. You know. Nobody wants to listen to guitar solos. Yeah, that's true. Very few people are so good at their instrument that they can play horrible free jazz. Because you have to be NI-polar and also, for some reason, insanely committed to doing music. So it's like those kind of people, they practice scales on their instrument and shit. I've never practiced a scale in my fucking life because I'm an intuitive. I don't need to use nonsense approaches to try to make good music. I understand the difference between trying to make good music and trying to reduce it to some kind of craft that you could just program a machine to do. Certainly, I'm intuitive enough to recognize that complexity is not an end in itself, artistically. Sometimes things that are very artistically successful also have a lot of complexity. But to think that you should just put all your level up stats in complexity, how non-intuitive could you possibly be? A never practiced scales is something very much to be proud of because I'm an artist, not a musician. Musicians, I mean, anybody can become a musician. Chow Wah, Jeffrey's ESTJ mom, plays for the LA Philharmonic. But you have to be completely insane to call her an artist. Yeah, it is something to be proud of, not practicing scales. Because practicing scales is not how you make good art. It's the exact opposite of how you make good art. Brah. You brah. I brah back at you. We've got reciprocating brahs going on here. All right. You want to brah me? I want to brah you. Brah, brah, brah. This is what they call a Mexican standoff of brahs. Scales and then sequencing. Instant Paganini. Is that a kind of pasta? Oh, You mean a fancy guitar playing guy? Right. I listen to his music all the time. I mean, this is the thing. If you have good taste, you know by what you listen to what's good. If you have terrible taste or no taste, like my dad, then that won't inform you at all about what's good. Yngwie Malmsteen. Boy, I spent about 40 hours last week listening to Yngwie Malmsteen songs because they're so intuitively resonant with me. Just like, genius. Listen to all of those notes. Wow, that's so many notes. There's moving his finger so fast. I love the way that sounds. Jazz is too loud. It's the devil's music. You're right, Bobby. You are definitely right about that. Turn that jazz music down. Just put on some good old-fashioned funeral organ music for me. That's what, if you want to liven things up a bit, some organ music that never resolves is fine. That's all you need. Anything more than that is showing off. No, taste is not subjective. I mean, people who don't value NI use subjective metrics instead of actual intuition taste, And so it is the case that lots of people like terrible things, but it is not the case that there is no objective truth about whether those things are good or bad. People who are wrong about it, like Dave Matthews, but objectively, Dave Matthews is bad. We can't prove this, which is why people have come to accept this nonsense that beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Every artist who's ever made anything, ever, behaves exactly contrary to that. They try to make good aesthetic choices and try not to make bad aesthetic choices. Because there definitely are choices that are objectively bad aesthetically or good aesthetically. Only people who are intuition way up top are qualified to distinguish between those things. INFJs, ENTPs are most qualified. But, INFJs have the best taste of all types. They're the most correct objectively about aesthetics. And it's because they know by observing the external world about the identities of the things they observe, rather than knowing subjectively with their SI. INFJs, if they want to avoid a truth, it requires a shit ton of effort on their part because they're all the time receiving the world as it's coming at them and knowing what it is. That's in contrast to me, right? Where I was outside earlier, apparently looking at the woods or whatever, but my NI is unconscious. I'm not really, in my SC, I'm not really looking at the woods at all. I was just thinking about how I failed to come in the shower. I was thinking I would streamline the day by making it unnecessary for Rachel to do her important job. But I failed, and it just means that it's more pressing now that she needs to do her job. So I was just thinking about all that stuff. I wasn't actually looking at the trees, even though my eyes were looking at them. I wasn't seeing anything really. I was just thinking my words, I'm not a receiving type. So I'm not particularly good at noticing things in the external world. and or intuiting what they mean. You can't eliminate her act of love to you. I wasn't trying to eliminate it. I was just trying to multitask. I was like, I'm horny. I could wait till later. I don't want to end the stream right now. Rachel's on mushrooms, so I don't want to. I don't know if she necessarily feels like having sex when she's on mushrooms. I don't know. I've never really talked to her about that, but fuck it. I'll just empty the trash into the drain myself, But I failed to do so. Because neither of my hands does a very good imitation of Rachel. She's already had mushrooms, so she doesn't want mine. My genitals are not mushrooms, okay? I like the name that a guy Naked and Afraid gave his genitals. This is Elvis, Lisa Marie, and Priscilla. Elvis is my schlong, and Lisa Marie and Priscilla are my two balls. If I combine my hands like this or like this, I don't know. Priscilla and Lisa Marie are always getting themselves into trouble. Do you know that one of my testicles married Michael Jackson? I did not approve. But it wasn't a very long marriage. I called it. Mine is called Gentleman Sausage. It's a heavily spiced sausage. Good day, madam. I'm Gentleman Sausage. You are down for some sexual intercourse. Well, we may just have to end this stream and start living that dream. Yeah. Go, Eric. It's your birthday. Yeah, it's not my birthday, but it's getting close. It's my birthday. It's I'll be 52 in how many days? Let's find out. Let's look at a calendar and find out. I will be 52 in just 16 days. And I'm looking forward to getting to 52. Because 5 plus 1 equals 6. And that equals the double. 5 plus 2 equals 7. And that equals Jesus. So anyway, I'm going to end this stream now. It's a short stream. Just let me look at the numbers here with my glasses on. Oh, you glasses. I was trying to make a break for it. Under 4 hours. We're going to call this one in under 4 hours. And after the sexual intercourse, I suspect Rachel and I might want to watch a little bit of baseball. I believe the games are coming on. Well, actually, it may be too late for that. Let me see what the baseball schedule is before we end the stream. Just curious. I've become rather taken with watching the Oakland A's, of course, because before I started watching them, I told Rachel, the one team I'm not going to watch is the A's. I don't like the A's, and that's never going to change. So, of course, I started watching the A's. That's why SE 8, It doesn't like to be told what to do, even by itself. Okay, top events, NBA, NHL. I like watching the Rangers games with Rachel because the A's are tied with the Orioles right now. It's the bottom of the sixth. It's 7-7. So, that game will still be on by the time I'm done having sexual intercourse. It's not going to take that long. Especially after I just worsened the problem in the shower without accomplishing anything. Are the Giants on? Let's see. San Diego is currently beating the Mets 2-1 on TBS. That seems like an interesting game. And the Yankees already won 11-2. I make note of that because we have Rachel's teams and my teams are all Rachel and my teams. So because Rachel likes the Rangers, I am now a Rangers fan. Oh, cool. So the Giants are playing at 6:45 tonight against the Dodgers, which means we'll be able to watch the game because we have local San Francisco broadcast. And we'll also get to watch the Dodgers because they'll be playing the Giants. So that's pretty cool. This is 6:45. So, all right, I'm going to end this stream now, and I'm going to make sexual love to my gorgeous wife. You might say, no, Eric, usually keep streaming. I said, no. If you were in my position, you wouldn't keep streaming either.